It was up almost 4%, but you know. It
Or-
was like 3.5, and then,
And then it came back.
It's a commercial.
It's bouncing around.
The world moves on.
Bouncing around. Investors are looking for growth, and companies are innovating to deliver. What's the best way for a company to drive success and for an investor to spot it? Tiffani Bova is the global customer growth and innovation evangelist at Salesforce, and she's the author of the new book, Growth IQ. Get smarter about the choices that will make or break your business. And she joins us now. Hello.
Hello.
Your title is a mouthful, but it sounds like a cool job. All right, so your book, you basically set out this roadmap, 10 paths to growth, and it starts with customer experience, and it's actually, honestly, mostly about the customer. Everyone thinks that they are putting the customer first, I think, when you're in business. Where do companies mess up? Like, I think everyone thinks that they're doing this. When do they slip?
It's a great question, because that's actually why I made the first path customer experience, because I wanted it to flow through the rest of the book. It's really important to keep the customer at the center, but sometimes what companies think they're actually doing and what the customer actually thinks they're doing are two very different things. And that's what I hoped to bring to the forefront, was an opportunity for people to take a pause, step back, and be much more intentional about the decisions that they make about growth.
So let's talk about a couple of the companies that you focus on in the book. And I want to ask you about Amazon. It's funny, you end with Amazon, and I'm starting with Amazon. In the last chapter, you say perhaps no company in our time has more successfully navigated the growth IQ paths. So what do we as investors now need to think about Amazon? Like, you have these 10 paths to growth. They've done everything. So what do you do next? What do we need to be watching for from this company?
Well, what was really interesting when I went on this journey of writing this book was it wasn't just about the paths that they chose. It was much more about the combination and sequence of decisions that they made. So it was the order and timing and when they did something versus what they did, and then what else they did alongside it. So if you're thinking customer experience, but then the product wasn't right, or who they were going after and they didn't have the right product, it has to be this combination of multiple things. And that is where Amazon has just been brilliant. Even if they've failed, they've course corrected very quickly and reinvested in areas where they knew that they could invest. But I'll be really clear here, they always kept the customer at the center of the decisions that they made.
Yeah, you talk about the sequence that companies make their decisions in, and a company that you had a chapter on was Blue Apron. And I think many investors in public markets have seen that stock and seen the sequence of the way things have gone for them as perhaps not optimal, I guess we could say. But you outlined how things were kind of going in somewhat the wrong direction even before the IPO. What happened there?
Well, I think that was a matter of they were growing really rapidly, and they made the decision to actually double down on investing in new things before they ever sort of got their legs underneath them in what they initially were going after. And so now they're doing very interesting things around partnering, some deals with Costco, and you're saying, well, if I'm buying meal kits in a subscription model, why would I then go to Costco to pick it up? And so that's this. We're not really doing so well in the path that we're on, and how do we course correct? But I think they started going down too many things simultaneously instead of just nailing their one business model before they decided to branch out into new things.
What do you think about a company like Facebook right now? Because when I think of the customer, I think there's two customers almost. There's us, and there's people that use it, and then there's advertisers. And they're not the only company that faces something like that. Sometimes you have multiple customers. Like, who do you focus on?
Yeah, it's a great question. You also have employees, which are customers.
Oh, that's a good point. You do write a lot about culture as well.
Yeah, and culture is really important, but you have this sort of broad ecosystem of shareholders, if you will. So if you're publicly traded, you obviously have the street that's invested in you, but you have customers on both sides. And it could be small businesses, could be individuals, consumers, it could be international, it could be very niche companies, could be small home office businesses. There's lots of customers out there. And so that's why you need to understand who they are, and I call that context of the market. And I think that's where people make a big mistake. They don't understand the context of who their customer is and what they're actually trying to accomplish. They just wake up one day and go, we need to grow. We need to grow the business, so we're just gonna go everything we can do to go after this top line revenue, and they don't know how to actually get that done.
Well, a company that I think we all know woke up one day and said, we need to grow as Wells Fargo, and you write about them. So what did they do wrong? And I think it's interesting, we're talking about a lot of tech companies, and in the tech industry, everyone says, oh, yeah, of course you want to grow. But in the banking industry, it's a lot different, and I think a lot of mistakes can get made in very different ways. So what happened at Wells? Where did they kind of go off of their path?
Well, as I mentioned in the book, that was really a cultural mistake. That was sort of not losing the true north of what they were really there to do, which was serve the customer, which would always been their vision. So it's been very interesting to watch them as they course corrected. Their new advertising campaign is almost like reinvented ourselves in 2018, even though we were founded in 100 years ago, right? And so they've really tried to be very transparent, and we know that we didn't do right. We want to try to be good and get back on the good graces with our customers. And how do we do that? So I think sometimes you have to think about, you can't do growth at all costs. We have to make sure that we're keeping both our employees and our customers, at the centers of the decisions that we make.
So what companies not currently run by Jeff Bezos do you think are doing a great job right now at Growth IQ?
Well, there's a lot of really wonderful examples.
Yeah,
of that, right?
I know. I want to see which one you pick. I have one that I picked.
Oh, okay. Well, let me hear what you think.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
So, all right.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I have the B-roll of it, so you say what it is, and then they know what my choice was.
Okay.
Go.
So, all right. Well, there's a couple that I really enjoyed digging into. I really enjoyed Kylie Jenner.
Ah, that's what I picked.
Ding, ding,
right?
ding. How did I know that?
I had the picture.
How did I know that?
Yeah, I thought that was
timing.
a good chapter. Yeah,
what
you
I-
really think that she's done a good job with the business.
Well, what I love about that model, and I think that's surprising to some people, is she's built as big of a business as she has with less than 20 employees. So now how do you do that? That is a 21st century business. So now what can other companies learn from that? While they don't have the platform of her name and the show, that's not really what I was trying to draw out of there. It was, do I want to go build an R&D lab on my own? Do I want to go launch a product in something I don't know how to do? There's many celebrities who have tried and failed at trying to be successful on business. And so she was very smart, or her team was very smart in picking the right partners to work with.
Now, the only risk that I see with her business, and it's a big one, is like, what if Instagram isn't the biggest thing in the world one day? Because that business has been built kind of on the success of the Instagram ecosystem. Obviously, the Kardashian enterprise and the TV show were a big part of that. But is it okay, I guess, for a company to look at a platform, say, this is where the world is going, and we can just jump on the back of that instead of doing some legwork ourselves? And I wonder, like, is Snap in a predicament now that it's trying to do its own thing, but the world has said that Instagram is just a better experience?
Yeah, if you take the platform away, you cannot remove her fan base. So if she decides to, what I say in the book is her fan base is almost growing up with her. And she's extending her product portfolio to match where they are in their own journey with being women and growing up and having different interests. And so it's not so much the platform as much as it is what products she's doing at what point in time and how she's being smart about doing it. And I think her fan base will follow her if she continues to deliver the way she's been delivering.
And we did a story, it's going to be, I think it was Forbes, could have been Fortune, the first self-made billionaire, the youngest. She's going to be a billionaire younger than Mark Zuckerberg was.
And she got a little grief on self-made, and then they had to kind of come back out and sort of say, what's the definition of self-made? And she didn't inherit it, so,
It's also, it's $1 billion.
It's
fine. She doesn't need us to defend any definition, so she's got $1 billion.
Give her the title. The book is Growth IQ. Get smarter about the choices that will make or break your business. Tiffani Bova, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Great to meet you. And we're going to be right back after this. We've got the look ahead coming up and the latest fashions. It's a bit of a recycling trend.